Okay. Subhadra Draupadi Kunti
Subhadra Draupadi
Draupadi
Kunti
Kunti
Virata Tanaya Tatha
Virat
Virat
Tanaya
Tanaya
Tatha
Tatha
Gandhari Dhritarashtrascha
Gandhari
Gandhari
Dhritarashtrascha
Dhritarashtrascha
Yuyutsur Gautamo Yamo
Yuyutsur Gautamo
Gautamo
Yuyur
Yamo
Vrikodarascha Dhaumyascha
Mrikodaraschcha
Vrikodarascha
Dhamyascha
Striyo Matsya Sutadhaya
Triyo Matsya Sutadaya
Nasehire Vimuhyanto
Nase Hire
Hire
Vimuyanto
Vimuyanto
Viraham Sharanga Davana Dhanvanaha.
Viraham
Viraham
Sharangadhavana.
Sharangadhavana.
Okay. Translation. At that time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu, Kripacharya, Nakula, Sahadev, Bhimasena, Dhaumya, and Satyavati all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear separation from the Lord. Lord Sri Krishna is so attractive for all living beings, especially for the devotees, that it is impossible for them to tolerate separation. The conditioned soul, under the spell of illusory energy, forgets the Lord. Otherwise, he cannot. The feeling of such separation cannot be described, but it can simply be imagined by devotees only. After his separation from Vrindavan and the innocent rural cowherd boys, girls, ladies, and others, they all felt shock throughout their lives. And the separation from Radharani, the most beloved cowherd girl, is beyond expression. Once they met at Kurukshetra during a solar eclipse, and the feeling which was expressed by them is tre- heart trending. There is, of course, a difference in the qualities of the Lord transcendental devotees of the Lord. There is, of course, a difference in the qualities of the transcendental devotees of the Lord. But none of them who have ever contacted the Lord by direct communion or otherwise can leave him for a moment. That is the attitude of a pure devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, you want to share a few words?
So Prabhuji here, Prabhupada is explaining or telling that how all these pure devotees of the Lord were actually feeling they were impossible for them to tolerate the separation from the Lord. And yeah, the conditioned soul in this material world are under the illusory energy. That is why they forget about the Lord. Otherwise, there's no way that they can forget. And Prabhupada is saying that the separation, when Lord actually separates from the devotees, this separation cannot be described in words, and it can only simply be imagined by the devotees only. How painful it is. So we know that from Vrindavan, when uh, when Krishna actually told the cowherd boys and Radharani and the people in Vrindavan that he's going to Dwarka, then what was their situation? We just, a normal person can just read the stories, and but they cannot feel that separation, that how people there, they were attached to Krishna, or how affected they were after that. And the gopis could never forget Krishna. And I don't exactly remember the story, but I just heard somewhere about one devotee of Krishna who took the letter of a message from Krishna to gopis. What was his name, Prabhuji? I forgot his name. He took the message,
Uddhava.
Krishna's Uddhava, that and then those gopis they said that this separation from Krishna is they actually whole life they used to miss Krishna and Krishna's pastimes with them. And then Prabhupada here saying that those cowherd boys and the people were, very sad when Krishna left. But the separation, especially with the Radha Rani, is beyond expression. That how she felt when Krishna left. And uh, and then here now these devotees here now Krishna is after this war is over, Krishna the Pandavas actually won, and King Yudhishthira is the king now. And till now we read in previous verses that he was taking recommendation or from Krishna, and he was whatever he did for a very long time he did for under the guidance of Krishna. But now it is the time when he is a king, and he has to manage the kingdom, and he has to prove himself as he is a good king. But with at every step, like he was taking guidance, he taking, but now Krishna is telling that you have to take care everything all by yourself. Now he's heading to Dwarka. So now all these devotees there in Hastinapur, I'm assuming because I read in previous verses that they were in Hastinapur, so all they were feeling very very sad. It is beyond cannot be expressed that how they were feeling when Krishna said that he'll be leaving them. So only this separation only the devotees can understand. It is not easy for a person who has a material mindset, who has who's has this covering of Maya. That person cannot understand that how devotees feel when Lord is not with them. So that's all, Prabhuji. I think there's a lot in this verse which you and other Mataji, Natasha Mataji and Arandini Mataji and Anand Kishori, I think everybody can explain more on this, but I just tried to share what I understood by Prabhupada's word. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing. Anybody else would like to say anything? Okay, we'll go to the next one. So any volunteers who would like to?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can recite.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Satsangan mukta dussango
Satsangan mukta
Dussango
sango
hatum notsahate buddha
hatum notsahate
Buddha
buddha
kirtyamanam yasho yasya
kirtamanyam yasho
Yasya
yasya
sakridakarnyarochanam
Sakrita
sakrita
Rochanam
akarnya grochanam
tasminnystadhiya partha
Tasmin
Tasminyasya dhiya
Partha
patha
saheran biraham katham
Sahiran
sahiran
Viraham
viharam
Katham
katham
darshana sparsha samlapa
Darshana
darshanam
Sparshan
sparsha samlapa
Samlapa
shayana sana bhojane
shayanasana
Shayanasana
bhojane.
Bhojane.
Want to continue, Mataji?
Sorry, I was reading. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with pure devotees and have become freed from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him. Purport. The living being's constitutional position is one of serving a superior. He is obliged to serve by force the dictates of illusory material energy in different phases of sense gratification. And in serving the senses, he is never tired. Even though he may be tired, the illusory energy perpetually forces him to do so without being satisfied. There is no end to such sense gratificatory business, and the conditioned soul becomes entangled in such servitude without hope of release. The release is only effected by association with pure devotees. By such association, one is gradually promoted to his transcendental consciousness. Thus, he can know that his eternal position is to render service unto the Lord and not to the perverted senses in the capacity of lust, anger, desire to lord it over, etc. Material society, friendship, and love are all different phases of lust. Home, country, family, society, wealth, and all sorts of corollaries are all causes of bondage in the material world, where the threefold miseries of life are concomitant factors. Where the threefold miseries of life are concomitant factors. By associating with pure devotees and by hearing them submissively, attachment for material enjoyment becomes slackened, and attraction for hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord becomes prominent. Once they will go on progressively without stoppage, like fire in gunpowder. It is said that Hari, the personality of Godhead, is so transcendently attractive that even those who are self-satisfied by self-realization and are factually liberated from all material bondage also become devotees of the Lord. Under the circumstances, it is easily understood what must have been the position of the Pandavas, who were constant companions of the Lord. They could not even think of separation from Sri Krishna, since the attraction was more intense for them because of continuous personal contact. His remembrance by his form, quality, name, fame, pastimes, etc., is also attractive for the pure devotees. So much so that he forgets all forms, quality, name, fame, and activities of the mundane world. And due to his mature association with pure devotees, he is not out of contact with the Lord for a moment. Hare Krishna. Okay, so here it is being described that why are they so affected by the separation from Krishna? Why are Pandavas so um, so sad about this separation from Krishna? Why are they trying to stop him from leaving? Like Mother Kunti was offering prayers, trying to keep him there longer. So translation is saying that even if somebody hears Hari Katha once or associates with devotees, he will have this the spiritual desires will awaken inside him, right? He will try to do more and more. So what to say of the Pandavas, who were not only in association of the devotees, they were in association of the Lord himself directly, constantly there, touching him, listening to him, talking to him, seeing him with their eyes, and associating with him, eating, dining, so what to speak of that then? So and then Prabhupada is giving us the whole chain of events that happens in a or should happen in a human life, that initially we are uh, entangled materially because of the illusory energy, We are given to sense gratification. Our senses are very strong, and we're just trying to please our senses with various activities. And so we are entangled in their servitude, in gratifying our senses. But then when such a person, so fallen, so entrapped in the Maya, um, comes in contact with association of pure devotees, and gradually his consciousness starts improving. He starts giving up the sense gratification, and he understands the spiritual knowledge, and he takes delight in Hari Katha, and his consciousness starts getting purified. So he starts giving up his anarthas. Like, we understand the 9 stages of devotional service, right? um, Starts with a little faith, with Shraddha, and goes on to Krishna Prema. So through slow purification. And this all starts with the association of devotees, right? So that's why we have to be very careful to avoid material association and material contamination, and try to associate with devotees more and more, and especially association of pure devotees. Like it is said that even a moment of association with pure devotees can purify one. Love matra sadhu sang sarva siddhi hoy, right? So so that can achieve the perfection of life. And all these other things then, material, society, friendship, all these different forms of lust, different forms of material desires, all these dharmas that we have, right? Like towards our family, towards our country, towards our community or society or economic development, all these various mundane dharmas that we have learned in this human form of life, which are basically cause of bondage. We start giving up those dharmas, and as Krishna says, Sarv dharman parityaja, right? Just take up the Bhagavad Dharma. So then we start taking up learning the Bhagavad Dharma. Otherwise, we are just suffering in the threefold miseries of life. So then Prabhupada says, so all those things become slackened, and attraction for hearing the transcendental activities of Lord becomes prominent. And if one keeps going on this path without stopping, then it's like fire in the gunpowder. That now you have put um, association of devotees, and Hari Katha is like the fuel. Person has initial faith, and you put this fuel in it, then it's like um, it will be like fire in the gunpowder. It will not stop. It will keep going. So the person will progressively keep making progress in this path, and finally he'll be liberated from all bondage and achieve the perfection. And then Prabhupada is also giving that, I don't know the shloka that says, but it is said that people that are self-satisfied, self-realized, right? Atmaram, they are also attracted to Krishna, because Krishna is so attractive that they also become devotees of the Lord. So initially they may be jnanis, right? They may be just on the path of self-realization through various austerities or other processes, and they have become self-realized. They are not attached to material sense gratification or material desires. But they will come to a point where they will, once they develop attraction towards Krishna, they will um, uh, achieve that final Krishna prema, the perfection. And like Krishna says that um, Vasudhaunam Janmanam Ante Gyanvan Mam Prapadyati. So such Gyanis, Gyanvan people that have so much spiritual knowledge, hankering, that are performing austerities, even they will be able to achieve him. It may take a while, but they, once they realize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is so attractive that they will also be attracted by him, even though they are not attracted by anything material. So in the end, Prabhupada is saying that because of the continuous personal contact with the Pandavas, they are in such a they're in such a position that they are so immersed in Krishna's association at all times. They're not just hearing about him, they're not just associating with his devotees, they are with him. So that kind of they're always able to see his form. They're participating in his pastimes. They're always glorifying him and listening from him. So they are. So their separation from Krishna is very. Their feeling of separation is very strong. But even a pure devotee, will have the same effect, because they have perfected their life, and they are participate during their samadhi. They are participating in Krishna's pastimes and constantly talking about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, glorifying him, discussing his pastimes. They are completely separated from the mundane world and always in Krishna's contact directly in such a way. So that's all I had to share, Prabhuji. Please add or correct if anything. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for beautifully explaining. Anybody else would like to share anything? Okay, so we'll go to the next shloka. Any volunteers who would like to read? 1.10.13.
Hare Krishna, I can read, Prabhuji. Nobody
Yes,
else
Prabhuji,
will.
go ahead.
Sarve te nimisher akshesh
Sarve te nimisher
Nimisher
akshesh.
tam anudruta chetasha
Tam anudruta
Chetasha
chetasha.
vikshanta sneha sambadha
Vikshanta
Santa
sneha
Sneha Sambandha
sambandha.
vichelas tatra tatraha.
Michilas Tatra
Vichelas tatra
Tatraha.
tatraha.
Translation: all their hearts were melting for him on the pot of attraction. They looked at him without blinking their eyes, and they moved hither and thither in perplexity. Purport: My Shri Divine AC Bhaktivedanta Shri Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Krishna is naturally attractive for all living beings because he is the chief eternal among all eternals. He alone is the maintainer of the many eternals. This is stated in the Katha Upanishad, and thus one can obtain permanent peace and prosperity by revival of one's eternal relation with him, now forgotten under the spell of Maya, the illusionary energy of the Lord. Once this relation is slightly revived, the conditioned soul at once becomes freed from the illusion of material energy and becomes mad after the association of the Lord. This association is made possible not only by personal contact with the Lord, but also by association with his name, fame, form, and quality. Srimad Bhagavatam trains the conditioned soul to this stage of perfection by submissive hearing from the pure devotee. Hare Krishna. Is there anything more, Prabhuji, or it's the end of the purport? Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. So, Hare Krishna. So here it is just a continuation from the last one, where it said that everybody's heart was melting as Krishna was leaving, and everybody was very attracted to the Lord. So they all looked at him without blinking their eyes, and they moved hither and thither in perplexity. And Prabhupada is explaining that we are all eternal beings, and being eternal beings, the supreme eternal being is Lord Krishna. He's the Adi Purusha. So of all the eternal beings also, be it demigods or any or all souls, the eternal Purusha is Lord Shri Krishna. And once we realize that right now we are just a very in this like in Bhagavad Gita said, in a dreamlike state, very small part of our existence that we are in right now, then once we realize our eternal relationship with Krishna and our original position as the servant of the Lord, then the attraction increases more and more towards Krishna, to our original form, and as a servant of Krishna. And it says almost one becomes mad in that, to get that association of the Lord in that sense. And association of the Lord is not just association with the personal self of the Lord, but all his other attributes are also, like his form, his name, all have the same uh, power as the personal form of the Lord himself. So it says the attraction increases to not just the personal form of the Lord, but also to his name, his fame, his form, and his quality. To all that, the attraction increases, and that's why you want to hear more and more of Hari Katha. And it's like a self-fulfilling thing, that more you hear, the more the attraction increases, unlike the material world, where as there's that famous shloka from Bhagavatam, that chewing the chewed, that the taste goes away in this material world. For anything that we do, after a few times the taste goes away. You buy a new car or something, initially it is fun, maybe first time, second time, maybe first month, something. But then it's just like you realize, oh, it's just a vehicle. You don't even realize that it was anything different or special. It's just being used for the transportation purposes. And same for a house or anything like that in this material world. It loses as we keep getting more familiar with it. It loses the taste. Whereas in the spiritual world, it's the more we know about the Lord, his form, his fame, his quality, the more the attraction increases to those things. So to Lord Krishna. So that is um, because that's more towards a true nature. And right now the material world is just we are covered by the illusionary energy, the Maya of the Lord, and that is why we think of ourselves to be the controller, which is not true. So here the last line says, Srimad Bhagavatam trains the conditioned soul to this stage of perfection by submissive hearing from the pure devotee. So this again, we are hearing about the Lord through his pure devotee, and thus and here the submissive hearing from the pure devotee in this is Shukdev Goswami, we are understanding. That's my understanding, but please correct me, Prabhuji, if in this last line, who is mentioned as Srimad Bhagavatam trains the conditioned soul to this stage of perfection by submissive hearing from the pure devotee. Not sure if this is from the pure devotee means Sutta Goswami or Shukdev Goswami here, but all are those pure devotees.
Yeah, both of them.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else would like to share? Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing. Okay, so we'll go to the next one. Any volunteers would like to read this one? 1:10:14.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Narudhayan udgalat baspam
Udgad Bashpam
autkantaya devaki sute
Ot Kantha
Devaki
Yad
Sute.
Devaki Sute.
Niryayate agaram no bhadram
Niryate
Agaram
Agaram no
Bhadram
Bhatram.
iti syad bandhavasite.
Iti syad
Syad Bandhava
bandhavasite.
Istriya.
The female relatives, whose eyes were flooded with tears out of anxiety for Krishna, came out of the palace. They could stop their tears only with great difficulty. They feared that tears would cause misfortune at the time of departure. There were hundreds of ladies in the palace of Hastinapur. All of them were affectionate to Krishna. All of them were relatives also. When they saw that Krishna was going away from the palace for his native place, they were very anxious for him. As usual, tears began to roll down their cheeks. They thought at the same time that tears at that moment might be the cause of misfortune for Krishna. Therefore, they wanted to check them. This is this what this was very difficult for them because the tears could not be checked. Therefore, they smeared their tears in their eyes and their hearts throbbed. Therefore, ladies who were the wives and daughters-in-law of those who died in the battlefield never came in direct contact with Krishna, but all of them heard of him and his great activities, and thus they thought of him, talked of him, his name, fame, etc., and became affectionate also. Like those who were in the direct contact, therefore, directly or indirectly, anyone who think of Krishna, talk of Krishna, or worship Krishna became attached to him. Because Krishna is absolute, there is no difference between his name, form, quality, etc. Our intimate relation with Krishna can be confidently revived by talking of, hearing, hearing of, or remembering him. It is done due to spiritual potency. Hare Krishna. Here it is very, it's very clear that if you hear the mercy of Lord directly or indirectly, so then you will get the potency to learn more. You will get desire that, oh, this is what happened. Yeah, what next? What next? So then, and every moment you will realize, oh, this is, I'm feeling so good. This is great ecstasy I'm feeling. Then in Hastinapur, after the battlefield, the Yudhishthira Maharaj become the king. Then the Krishna was about to go back to the Dwarka. Then all the this is, then we can say the ritual process. It's not more the spiritual here. They are talking because ki Vishay ki oh some in the village area or even on the street, if the cat will talk, they will any cat will cross the road. Oh, black cat cross the road. Please stop. This is the symbol of misfortune. So then that's why the widow and other people uh, uh, who was in deep sorrow with their because of their friends, relatives, direct or indirect husbands died into the battlefield. They don't come in front of Krishna because if you see to the bad people, then some quality misfortune will come to Krishna. In order to save to Krishna or the care for the Krishna, they don't come. So that's what has been explained, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So anybody else would like to share any points? Okay, so we'll go to the next one. Any volunteers?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, ma'am.
Prabhuji, in the last shloka,
Yes.
so so the ladies are worried that tears would cause misfortune at the time of departure. So in presence of Krishna, it's like devotees typically don't worry about such omens or bad or inauspicious signs or things like that. Is that
Yeah,
right? Or
so that's very interesting. Actually, what is happening is we have to see how different sentiments can be used in the service of Krishna. So that is one sentiment which you rightly mentioned, that okay, nothing will be there in the inauspicious in the presence of Krishna. Yeah, that's true. But in general, any kind of tears, is thought to be, and this is, when in Krishna's presence, a lot of things happen by the mood of the devotees in how they want to reciprocate. So it's not so much that only one way devotee can act. That this is the variegatedness in the spiritual world. That yes, some devotees have that mood which you are mentioning, and here in this situation, these devotees are, using this particular emotion in the service of Krishna. Does it make sense, Pansy?
yes, Prabhuji. But let's say for us in general, like growing up, we were told ऐसे हो जाएगा तो अपशकुन हो जाएगा, ऐसे गलत हो जाएगा अपशकुन. So still sometimes people say such things, right? So now that we are following this path of Hari Bhakti, so what should our response be, or how should we worry about these things and try to
So
accommodate?
our formula is very simple. Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjana. Whatever can be used in Krishna service, that we have to use it, and whatever we can't use it, that we can reject it. So let's say if there is something we are planning in the service of Krishna, and there are some things which can, which can help us in enhancing or increasing the service, we'll take those things. If there are other things which are not going to help us in being able to serve properly, we'll reject those things. So we don't so much go about sentiments or blind faith or superstitious belief systems, but we go by Guru Sadhu Shastra. And there are things which in culture or in a particular society, things they may be doing certain things which may be appropriate, and certain times they may not be appropriate. So if it is something which will help us in serving the Lord, help us in increasing the outcome or intensity of our service, then definitely we accept. But if it doesn't, then we don't have to. But that being said, there are a lot of things which are there in the scriptures which we may not be familiar with, and therefore it's important to gain appropriate knowledge and train ourselves in understanding what is really true faith, reasonable faith, and what is blind faith, and how to differentiate between them. So if something is culturally accepted in some place, then we can see how much it is going to be in line with our scriptural values. If it is not going to affect it much, but it's not there in scriptures, then we are not for it, we are not against it. We don't have to be against it. I mean, if some people are having certain culture or certain thing, that is okay. But at the same time, if there are things which will help us in serving Krishna, we can utilize them. If there are things which will be obstacle in our path of service, then we reject them. So this is kind of the general thing, but if you give me specifics, then I can give you more specific, perspective. But for now, for general discussion, I think this is what I would say.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Does it help? Does
Yes, definitely, yes, Prabhuji. I can't think of any specific example. Something had happened a few days back. I can't remember now. But
Probably not so much important then.
probably nothing. No, nothing important at all. But yeah, there are some things that are considered inauspicious and stuff like that. So I was wondering if we should even worry about such things if you're following devotional service. But yeah, I
Well,
think
some things we have to be mindful, because we are doing devotional service, but still if we touch fire will burn us. So even though we may be practicing some devotional service, but we are still not pure devotees. So we may not be able to really do things which Prahlad Maharaj did, for example. So we definitely should be not in any way, shape or form stop our services, or interrupt them because of something, but still we have to be mindful of certain things. And like, for example, I'll give you an example. So let's say if devotees who are unmarried, they want to enter grihastha ashram, and for entering grihastha ashram there are anyways very less devotees. So getting a devotee who is from similar background, whatever, and then similar age, similar status, or whatever you want to say, and then astrologically if it is not matching, let's say, because devotees many times do astrological charts, then the question is whether the devotee should marry or should they not marry. So that is a practical question. It could be a concern. What should we do? Because yes, they are all chanting Hare Krishna, they are devotees, but they are not pure devotees also. So what to do? So in that situation, you have to take guidance from seniors, because you want to serve Krishna by entering grihastha ashram. So how you can do that in the best way so that your services can continue properly? You can't just brush it off that, oh, okay, anyways, I'm devotee, so astrological charts don't matter. How do you know? They could, right? They are not. This is also science. This is not totally blind faith. But that doesn't mean we just get paranoid about the astrological charts and then just make that as the final word, Brahma Vakya. Not really. So so these are some of the situations where we have to be mindful that even though we are practicing Krishna consciousness, but we are still not at the pure level. So things can happen which we didn't expect, for example. Does it make sense, Madhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, we'll go to the next one. Any volunteers who would like to read this? It's a short one. No purport.
Can I try?
Haribol.
Mridanga Shankha Bheryascha
Mridanga
Shankha Bheryascha
Veena Panavago Mukha
Veena Panavagomukha
Dunduri Anaka Ghantadya
Dunduri Anaka
Ghantadya
Ghantadya
Nidur Dundubhayastatha.
Nidur
Nidurdubhayastatha.
Dundubayastatha.
Translation. While the Lord was departing from the palace of Hastinapur, different types of drums like the mridanga, dhol, nagra, dhunduri, and dhundubhi, and flutes of different types, the veena, gomukha, and bheri, all sounded together to show him honor.
Want to read one more? Okay. It's actually 9 o'clock. So if devotees want, we can stop here because this is a little longer. Okay. So anybody would like to make any final points before we conclude? All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll end it here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.